So everyone can see us and say hi.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining. We appreciate your time today. My name is Kelly Gindelsberger. I'm one of our partner success managers here at Infrascale. I've been in the data protection space for about 6 years. Doesn't hold a candle to Chris's experience, but I certainly love helping customers. We're going to be getting to in just a second. First, I want to introduce Chris Bain, who is our Chief Solutions Architect. Hey, Chris.
Hey, thanks for that introduction. So I'll give you a quick run over of my career. So I started out a little over 20 years ago at Lockheed Martin, helping protect their users and set stuff up there. As part of their Y2K readiness program. And then, I jumped over to Veritas for a long time. I was there for about 18 years. And then I came over to Infrascale. I was actually in New York for 9/11, so I did help some major customers repair their data centers or recover from complete data center losses. So not only have I been talking about disaster recovery, but I've actually been through a couple of different disaster recovery scenarios. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and pass it back over to Kelly, and she can jump into our PowerPoint here.
Thanks, Chris. All right, so many of you are current Infrascale customers, and we do appreciate your business. But we've certainly grown over the years, and some of you might be new to Infrascale. So I just wanted to just a quick couple slides, just in case you're not familiar with us as a company or the products that we offer. So first up, we were founded in 2007, so we've been around now for about 12 years. We are 100% channel focused, so we rely heavily on our reseller partners for business. We do have over 15 global data centers. I'm going to show you those in just a second. And we are currently protecting over 700 petabytes of data. And you can see there in the lower right-hand corner, we've been featured by Gartner over the past couple of years for our disaster recovery as a service offering. All right, thanks, Chris. So again, many of you might be familiar with this, but we've added some products over the years. So I just want to make sure we do an overview of what Infrascale has to offer. So first up, there at the bottom is Cloud Backup. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So we actually just released a new version of this product a couple of months ago, and Chris really thought it was worthy of a webinar to get some of those updates out to you guys, as well as share some tips and tricks. This offering allows you to recover at the file and folder level. It also gives you unlimited version history in our cloud and ransomware alerting with our anomaly detection. It is licensed per protected terabyte per month, and it is pooled storage. Next is our disaster recovery as a service offering. This is our appliance to cloud model. So basically, this is for your critical servers and applications that your clients cannot afford to have go down. We are the only ones in the market that can commit to booting power to any machine in our cloud in 15 minutes or less. Lastly is cloud application backup. So this gives you the ability to recover past 30 days with those applications that you see there. So maybe one of your clients has relinquished a Microsoft license, an employee has left, or just some important data was deleted. Whether it's a matter of compliance or just convenience, this is a nice tool to offer your client. All right, and oftentimes I get the question, hey, where are your data centers? So this is where they are here on the map. The default data center for the United States is Salt Lake City, Utah. So that's where most of our data is residing there. If you're a current customer of ours right now and you are in the US, that's probably where your data is. But I wanted to provide everyone a snapshot of what that looked like.
Now, one thing that I would like to add to that is, these are the Infrascale data centers that we have out there, but Cloud Backup's a little bit different in the way that, if you guys have an opportunity or you have a bunch of customers and you want to host this inside your own data center, that is something that we do offer for Cloud Backup. So you could run that backend software inside your own data center and have all your clients backing up directly into your data center. or even if you have a customer that's big enough and they have a second site, we could back everything up into that second site for them. So we do have a lot of flexibility on how we configure this.
Thanks, Chris. And this is where I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so here is a little bit of the layout of how things work, right? So here we can grab physical virtual servers, workstations, mobile devices, and we can file and folder back them up. We can also provide bare metal recovery for them. We can do application level backup. So if they have Exchange or SQL that they want to protect, we have that option. And then again, we of course do dedupe and compression. We also offer you the option to back them up to a local NAS. So if you're migrating a customer from a solution where maybe they backed up to a local NAS and that was kind of the end of it, well, we can repurpose that and we can still back up to that and then also back up to the cloud. Now here we do throw in 256-bit encryption on anything that we're transferring. And then we do have military-grade encryption up in our cloud. And we'll go a little bit more over kind of the different levels of, I like to call it paranoia, but the different levels of encryption and protection that we have depending on what your customer requires. So why would we be looking at protecting these machines, right? There's a lot of things that can happen out there on these edge machines or these servers, lots of accidents. You know, one of the ones I like to bring up is, you know, back when I was at Lockheed, one of our VPs, he got his PowerPoint ready. He's flying on the plane. He's going through his PowerPoint slides, and the stewardess on the plane accidentally spilled a cup of water into his laptop. And the magic smoke came out and it wouldn't boot again. So, that's one of those areas where this product can definitely help. If you have a laptop get run over, get destroyed, get lost, we can help you recover that data very easily to a different machine or even just from the cloud to a different device. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at what things look like and what some of the new things that we added. Yes.
Chris, so sorry to interrupt. I just realized we forgot to tell everyone about our quiz. So,
oh, yes.
We have a quiz, you guys. We'll have 2 quiz questions at the end. And in the past, we've done, like a little gift card here and there, but today's prize is a little different. Today's prize for 2 winners is 500 gigs of cloud backup for your own personal use. It is for 1 year, but for your own personal use. You can use it for whatever you want. Chris, I don't know if 500 gigs could hold all of my Bailey pictures. You guys, Bailey's my 2-year-old, but I'm sure it could probably help most of you in some way. But Chris, I'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, absolutely. No problems. So, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at exactly some of the new things that have come out for cloud backup that I think are really impressive and really neat for this solution. So there's a couple of things here. We're going to jump in. This is the basic client that we have out there. Well, one of the things that we've changed about the client is now we can actually see SQL and Exchange, even though they're not on these machines, but we can protect them. So we're going to automatically show you all the different options that you have for not only file and folder, advanced file and folder, but also application integrated backups. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is LiveProtect. So you might say, all right, Chris, what is LiveProtect, right? We have a couple different ways we can protect data. So right here, we can see we can protect it based off the file type. So if it's a music or a video or an image or a document file type, we're going to go ahead and grab those. Here we can go out and we can look at individual folders and protect those. Now we can see that this particular folder is green. Now why is this folder green? Well, that's because if we right click here and we say LiveProtect, we can enable something called LiveProtect. What that does is basically synchronize that folder up to the cloud. So if you think about something like Dropbox, right? Whenever you throw something into that folder, it's going to automatically upload it to the cloud and keep it in sync. Well, that's what this does. So we just enable LiveProtect, and now it's going to go ahead and anytime anything in that folder gets updated, it's going to update it in the cloud for us. Now, another option that we've added that I think is pretty cool is INDAT. So what's great about INDAT is, say that I know that I go home at 5 p.m. Well, maybe I want to say I want this to end all of my backups at 5 p.m. so that I know I can grab my laptop and walk out, and I'm not going to be in the middle of a backup and cause any confusion there. So what this allows you to do is you can define a start time, and close that out. One other thing that I want to talk about, and I'll drop a hint here, you might want to pay attention to this, it might come up later in a question, is if we go ahead and we go in here and we go to advanced options, we can look at scheduled backup tasks. So what we have added here and what we have changed here is we've added the ability to, previously, I come from enterprise, right? And I was backing up enterprise servers. So I would back up every server and we'd start our schedules at like midnight. Well, when I did that, when I came here for laptops, I realized all my backups were failing. And why are they failing? Because, well, Kelly goes home. She shuts down her laptop. It's not on at midnight for us to be able to back up. So what's great now is we've added in the option where we can say, all right, well, let's go ahead and back it up as soon as it turns on if a backup task was missed. So when Kelly comes in the morning after dropping off Bailey, of course, it's going to go ahead and back her computer up as soon as it connects to the internet. So that's really nice. Another option we have here is the ability to wake a computer. So if you close your computer and you put it to sleep, we can actually wake it up to be able to do the backup and then let it go back to sleep, which is really nice. Another option we add is the ability to only do a backup if a computer, like a laptop, is running off AC, right? So say you're in the park working, remotely. We don't want to run down that battery, run out your juice. So here you can turn it on. So you can say, all right, well, let's only back this up if it's plugged into AC power. So those are kind of three really unique kind of fun ways to add and make your scheduling a little bit better for your customers. Make sure that you're only backing up, when they're plugged in. You're not going to run them out of battery. Go ahead and make sure that if it's asleep, you can wake it up. And go ahead and make sure that, if they missed a scheduled backup because the computer was unplugged and they were on the road, it wasn't on the network, as soon as they reconnect, it's going to go ahead and run that backup. And also have the ability to say that if it gets to 5 o'clock, let's go ahead and cancel any backups that are running so that user is able to disconnect and move on. Now let's go ahead and jump back into our PowerPoint presentation. Now we'll jump into the tips and tricks section. So this is kind of my favorite section, coming from someone who uses software and wants to be able to know the easiest way to deploy things and configure things. So right now we have the ability, and we've added the ability to run this interface without having to have administrative privileges. So what's great about that is, your end user doesn't have to be an admin to be able to open this and restore files and content if they need to. Now, with that being said, of course, there's options for you to be able to block it so that end user can't get in here and be able to run things and do stuff. It's really up to you guys on how you want to configure that. But we now have the option for them to be able to restore their own data without having to be an admin on the local machine. Something else that, this is one of those things that was kind of annoying for a lot of the MSPs, is the fact that if you enable any of our retention, so right here, if a file hasn't been changed on the local computer for a year, what do we want to keep that in the cloud? Or once it's deleted off the local computer for a certain amount of time, 30 days, do we want to delete it from the cloud? Well, previously, if you enabled any of these retention settings, it forced you to have an email that it would send out the reports, because we want to notify someone. We want to say, hey, we're going to delete these files. So that's where, we would require that. Now you actually have the option to not have that report sent anywhere. Of course, I would not recommend that. If anything's going to be automatically deleted, I want to be notified about it and have a track. But, it's one of those things that was requested a lot, and I'm happy that we've added it. Now, another thing that we've added, and this is another thing that, when we went through security audits and we looked at it, now when we put in the backup account credentials to create an MSI, so an automated installer, we're encrypting all those credentials. So no one's able to see them, no one's able to hack their way through and find passwords and logins. Everything's going to be encrypted. So that's a great feature that I'm happy that we've added. Now, another thing, of course, we're keeping up to date with all the different support for things that are out there. So here we've got our Microsoft support. Over the time, we've added in support for all the things that are out there. We've added in for Server 2019, SQL 2017, Exchange Server 2019. We've also added in support for SQL clusters. So if you have your SQL server in a cluster, we're still able to protect that data. So we're keeping up to date with all those latest OS upgrades and updates so that we can protect all that data that's out there. And then the last thing that I want to talk about here is going to be UltraSafe Max. Now, this is one of those things that helps us to have all the compliances that we have, right? So we're able to have all these compliances because we can encrypt all the data. We don't have a key to it. We can't see the data. And this is one of those things where I want to talk about a little bit because the prize that we're giving away today, right? We're giving you away the chance to get 500 gigs of our cloud storage. Now, what does that mean? You're going to upload your data, and Infrascale is going to mine through it and steal all your customers? Absolutely not. So go ahead and enable UltraSafe Max. And what that does is that allows us, or allows you, to have all your data encrypted on your machine before it's even sent to Infrascale. So there's no shared key. There's no way that we could possibly get into that data, access that data, or see anything. So as you can see here, we have a 3-layer encryption. So it says optional here for O1, encrypt with a private key. But if you turn on UltraSafe or UltraSafe Max, you can enable that private key. So everything's encrypted on your machine and sent to us. We don't ever get that private key. We ship it through 256-bit SSL encryption, and then it's sitting in our data center, again, encrypted. So there's no way that anyone can get to that data or access it. So that's why I think, I back up my personal machines with this. I've set up a friends and family program with the Infrascale group so that we can all back up our personal devices with this. It's really safe to know that no one can access that data. And then also, this is what gives us our HIPAA, our CJIS, all the compliances that we need, because we're encrypting that data and it's not a pre-shared key. There's no way for us to access it. So if you enable this for one of your customers, there's no way for you to access your customer's data. Now, what's great about that, it's super encryption. The only problem or drawback I see is if someone forgets their passphrase, i.e. my parents, I would never let them use this. They can't get their data back. So that's one of those areas where you got to kind of make sure that you work with your customers on some kind of passphrase management to make sure that they're not going to lose that passphrase and not be able to access that data. Now let's go ahead and jump into the quiz. So you might want to go ahead and hit new email and put in Kelly's email address in there. That way you're ready to go ahead and type in the answer and hit send, because we are going to go based off of when they arrive in Kelly's inbox.
Yeah,
so since,
and Chris,
you have a longer last name now, I'm going to pause a little bit longer. Her last name.
I'm going to type it in the chat too. Yeah, when I married into this one, my maiden name was 3 letters, and now it's 13. All right, so guys, I'm putting my email address here in the chat, so you can copy and paste it there. And Chris, you were dropping hints. If only my college professors would have done that, I would have maybe had straight A's coming out of college. But I'm sure those hints were appreciated. Yeah. Well, you covered a lot, so that was nice of you to drop some hints. Right, and then we've got some questions in the chat that we'll cover after. And guys, if you have some questions that you're thinking of, go ahead and pop those into the chat, and we'll cover those in just a minute. But Chris, if you want to take us to our first quiz question.
All right, so name 2 of the new backup scheduling options that we have. So I threw 3 of them out there, but name 2 of the 3. You know, whether it's based off the current power state of the machine or activity or something like that.
And next time we'll have the Jeopardy music ready.
I'll see if I can find the free version of the Jeopardy typing. All right, so hopefully you guys have got that one out. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at number 2. So what does LiveProtect do? So if you go in there and you enable LiveProtect, what is that going to do for you guys? You know, how is that going to do something different than just a regular backup? Now, hopefully you guys are storming up, typing up answers to those and hitting send and getting them over to Kelly. Now, while we're waiting for those to go ahead and come in, let's go ahead and jump into our Q&A session and see what we've got going on. So, Kelly, what questions do we have out there right now?
Sure. So I just had a question about anomaly detection. So you mentioned anomaly detection at the beginning of the call. I'm not super familiar with it. What does it do?
Okay, so anomaly detection is the ability to look at what's changing on a machine. So if we look at Kelly's laptop, right, in an average week or an average day, Kelly's probably going to update 100 files. So now if it goes from that 100 files to thousands of files, that's definitely going to be something that's different outside the ordinary. So what that's going to do is automatically send out an alert to you or to the customer, however you want to configure it, to say, hey, something's changed. You might want to look into this. Now, most of the time, it's probably going to be very accurate, and we actually have a throttle you can set as to what you want that change rate to be. So, you know, anomaly protection is a really great way to kind of get ahead of any kind of ransomware attack that's happening. It's also going to give you a great way to see when and what version of the file that you need to go ahead and restore.
Thanks, Chris. Next question, how do you use this to protect against ransomware? Which, Chris, might be a little redundant, but I'll let you talk to that.
Sure. So yeah, so we don't stop or prevent anything from happening. We're really looking at it and trying to give you a proactive way to go in and, all right, it looks like they might be encrypting the files. Also, that gives you that point in time where that infection happened. So a lot of people I know when they get infected, either they don't have adequate protection or they do, but they still have to do a whole bunch of restores to try and figure out when things got encrypted and when the problem started. So we're, you know, with this feature, hoping you to proactively go after it before it turns on that screen that says you must pay us Bitcoins or whatever. And we're also helping you to see when it came into the environment so you can restore back to the last point in time that had unencrypted data.
All right. Chris, we have a partner asking if we could demo the BMR features and functions. I don't want to put you on the spot. Is that something we could hop into now, or should we all take this offline with that partner?
Yeah, absolutely. But that would be best served on kind of a one-on-one demo. You know, we've got a little bit of time left, so absolutely. You know, reach out to us. We can set up a call, 30 minutes. We'll go in and show you all the features and functionalities around that.
All right. Next question. Can you limit or have it stop backup if a metered connection is detected?
So we don't have the ability to detect a metered connection, but absolutely, when we configure this, we can say, all right, we only want to back up at this particular speed, so we don't want to overrun the bandwidth. So that's one of the two options. The other option is we can say we only want to back up 2 gigs a day. And once it gets to 2 gigs, it stops the backup, and then the next day it kicks off another backup for 2 gigs. So we have both options to be able to do that.
Excellent, thank you. And we had someone asking about Linux server backup with OS.
So absolutely, Linux servers are on the roadmap. They're not currently supported unless we're talking about Mac OS, which does have a Linux backend. It's BSD. So we do Windows and Macs. Android, iOS, all those. The Linux client is coming. So it should be, hopefully, I believe it's like the first half of next year that we're going to have our Linux client out there, and that's going to support all the major flavors. But right now, we don't have a Linux agent, so if you need Linux, you need to look at our Draz solution, which absolutely has Linux support for physical and virtual servers.
All right, next question. What cloud provider does Infrascale use?
So right now, as far as the cloud providers we use, we're actually using our own data centers that we have space in. So that's a majority of the data is sitting inside our own leased space within these major data centers out there. So DataBank's one of the ones we use. You know, we use some of the major providers, but we can also offer it if you want to. You could put it into a public cloud. You could put it in your own data center. So that back-end services and storage we do offer. I think it's a minimum, and Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 10 terabytes to be able to host it yourself. But if you guys wanted to host your own back end, or you had a customer that was big enough, we have a couple of customers we're working with where they want to archive out 50 terabytes plus. Well, then we offer them the option to throw that software in one of their other data centers and be able to archive it out to those. So Cloud Backup is very flexible. It doesn't have to go to our cloud. It can go to a public cloud, your data center, customer's data center. There's a lot of options there.
All right. So we're getting a good bit more questions come in here. Next question is, I'm confused about using space with daily backup. How is space utilized on the cloud with daily backup?
Okay. So when we do a daily backup, we're only going to charge you for the largest version of a file. So say I'm backing my laptop up every day and I update the PowerPoint that I just presented. You know, me and Kelly sent this back and forth a couple times while we were getting ready for this webinar. Well, it's only going to charge me or count against me for the largest version of this file that's held up in the cloud. So, you know, that's kind of the easiest way to think about it is we're going to optimize it to be the largest version of any file that's uploaded. And then you can also set in, you know, by default, we keep unlimited versions. But you could say, I only want to keep the last 10 versions. I think the last 10 versions might even be a little bit of overkill for me, right? I can't think back maybe 3 or 4 different versions. But it's nice to have multiple versions. That way, you know, if you accidentally updated something or saved something, or this happened to me and Kelly a couple months ago, I accidentally deleted the file that I needed for the webinar, and I was able to go out there and grab it and restore it. And I actually did that about 30 minutes beforehand. So I was flipping out a little bit, but using our software was really easy to get the data back.
All right. Next question. Please provide basic important guidelines to backing up live MS SQL files.
All right, so that's another one of those that, you know, let's go ahead and get your information and we'll reach out to you and we'll talk about that directly because there's a bunch of different options around protecting SQL and different ways to protect it. So that's definitely something that we'll take offline and we can look at, you know, SQL clusters, SQL log replication, kind of all the different ways that you can affect SQL and protect SQL. Now, it does look like we've reached 2:30. I hate to say it, but we do need to kind of wrap up the webinar. So definitely everyone should have me and Kelly's contact information. We can help you get in touch with the right people that will support you for any additional questions that you have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate that demo. And everyone, thank you so much for your time. I did have a couple of folks write me privately and ask if they could have a copy of the recording and also of the presentation. You absolutely can. So I know sometimes on the GoToMeeting, it doesn't capture your email address. So if you specifically want the Prezzo or the recording, if you could just shoot me an email, that would be great. That way we can make sure we have that. But we will put the recording up on YouTube, so it's easy to get for everyone. And then I just looked at my inbox, Chris. I've got a ton of responders from the quiz time. So I'll be grading papers this afternoon. But guys, thanks so much. Chris, thanks again. Hope everyone has a good rest of your day. Bye.